Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Buffalo SportsCenter. I am Don. With me today is Cal. Cal, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited about this video. Tell them what we're going to be talking about.
Well, folks, we are going to be talking about how the sun rotates the earth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're going to talk to a little bit today about some draft needs that the Sabres desperately need. Hint, hint, it's going to be on defense. Um, but,
Yeah,
folks, the Sabres, the draft lottery will be on, what, May 8th now? Yeah, we're recording this just before the draft lottery. We don't exactly know yet where the Sabres will be picking, but where they're picking doesn't necessarily dictate what the Sabres need. I think we both agree that the Sabres definitely need help on the back end, right, Cal?
yeah, absolutely, 100%. And this video, my predictions, it's going to be if they get that 13th pick or very close to there, right? We're not predicting, oh, they moved up to three. That would completely change our picks. So our picks in this video, mainly, assuming we're going to stay where we are.
Absolutely. Yep. So we're going to assume that the Sabres stay relatively around where they're projected right now. There is a 2% chance that the Sabres move up all the way to number 3, but 2% really? I mean, if they do, there's a couple of prospects like Leo Carlson and Michkov from Russia that are pretty intriguing, but it's very unlikely that the Sabres do get it, as Cal mentioned. So let's just get into it. Cal, who is your first big target for the Sabres?
All right, first big target, Axel Sandin Palika, defenseman out of the SHL. A pretty highly regarded prospect, right wing defenseman. So that is a major need for the Sabres. I think everyone can agree with that. He's got a high upside. He's a little bit undersized though. So I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, right? They want the big defenseman that's gonna, blow people up or bring a little physicality, but he plays gritty, right? Don't let his size fool you. He is definitely a guy that can, I think instantly come into this lineup and be a good fit. And again, I'm predicting a defenseman first, first things first, because Ryan Johnson is still not signed at the time of this recording with the Sabres. He was supposed to maybe fill that void. Now it looks like the Sabres desperately need another defenseman. So that's going to be my first guy.
Yeah, and that's a good pick. I have heard a lot about this guy. And you do mention that a lot of Sabres fans want big, burly defensemen. A lot of fans right now are saying if they go via free agency, Radko Gudas of the Florida Panthers having a phenomenal postseason right now with the Cats. He would fit perfectly in the Sabres system. But you're right, the Sabres do need a right shot defenseman to pair with Owen Power. And Cal, quick sidebar. Can you imagine if the Sabres hadn't traded Brandon Montour to the Florida Panthers and that we actually had good coaching? That's besides the point. Imagine Montour with power. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Sabres, I feel like they will go young in the defense in the first round, of course. And they're looking desperately for a can play now kind of player.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You look at this defensive core, right? How many streams, how many videos have we made about Jacob Bryce and Henry Jokiharju just costing the Sabres opportunities after opportunities? I mean, Jacob Bryson out there costing the Sabres goals at sometimes. Especially we don't know what we're going to be doing for goaltending next year. You cannot put Jacob Bryson back out on the ice to try to help Devin Levi because that is just going to shoot his confidence down. I mean, if you're giving him free goals, it's not going to help a young goalie. You still don't know who the other goalie is going to be. It could be anyone. I mean, it could be UPL, it could be Comrie, it could be a free agent. We could draft another goalie. Who knows? But I'll move into my second prediction here out of my three. David Reinbacher out of Switzerland. This is kind of like that ideal fit for the Sabres. He's 6'2", big, strong guy, very good at stopping the rush, which is a thing the Sabres need help with. How many 2-on-1s have we seen? I mean, it seems every game the Sabres have odd man rush after odd man rush after odd man rush. So a defenseman that's very good at stopping the rush, much like Dahlin was and like Owen Power last season, that would be huge. And he's also a two-way defenseman too, so he can play both sides of the ice. He can, generate a little bit of offense. He's not going to be a complete shutdown defender, but at the same time, he is, not like a guy like Henry Jokiharju who is supposed to be all offensive and then doesn't give you much of anything.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot about Reinbacher. He is an NHL comparable would be Jake Sanderson or maybe
Mhm.
Vladislav Gavrikov of the Ottawa Senators and the well now Los Angeles Kings. Both of those guys, I just feel like the Sabres really they made a concerted effort at the trade deadline to beef up their physicality, and Reinbacher definitely would fill that need. I feel like Kevin Adams, he knows, and we know too, that this Sabres team, they got bullied one too many times last season. If they added another big rock, like, can you imagine Samuelson guards Dahlin, right? Reinbacher guards Owen Power. That, I feel like, is a good, balanced top two pairings, young, and lots of potential there. And you mentioned two-way play. Still, folks, I feel like a lot of people when they hear two-way defenseman, they automatically think of like Rasmus Dahlin or Owen Power
Yeah,
production,
no.
like 35 points northward. No, that's not usually what happens. I feel like Reinbacher's ceiling could be 35 points, but he's definitely like a 20 to 35 point kind of guy.
Yeah, he would just add a little bit of the offense. It's basically, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. People hear two-way and they think superstar defenseman. Oh, they're going to be scoring, top five on the team in goals and also a stud defenseman. It's not what that means. That just means they could add a little bit of offense in their game, but also, be a good shutdown defenseman. And yeah, I mean, Owen Power, you mentioned somebody protecting Owen Power. It's going to take maybe another year or two for Owen Power to really, fill in his shoes, become, I mean, we saw it with Rasmus Dahlin, right? It took him a few seasons to stand up for himself and be able to play just completely free out there. So if you could get a guy like this to protect, whether it's from the draft or free agency, to protect Owen Power, let him do whatever he wants for the next few years until he can really protect himself on the ice, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to move into my third pick here.
Okay.
This is a wild card. I didn't want to be too bland and just go defenseman, defenseman, defenseman. Let's talk about Andrew Christal from the Kelowna Rockets. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Out of the WHL, he's a left winger, and this would be an absolute wild card pick. But with that being said, it could work out, right? The Sabres, they have a lot of forward depth, right? With it almost too much depth where we don't know who's going to be playing on the team. Will Savoy or Kulik even make the team?
Yeah,
Who knows?
and even behind them, you got Kisakov and
Yeah.
Nuchev. Believe that's his
Mm-hmm.
name.
Yep.
Yeah, from Russia.
Yeah, Victor Nuchev just signed his deal. But the reason I picked Christal here, he's a very sneaky guy, a smaller guy, but a super high upside. And the Sabres have plenty of time to let him sit in the AHL, sit in whatever league he needs to develop, because they're going to have a good 3 seasons here where they still have to kind of catch up with their prospects and get who deserves to be in the lineup. I mean, we could still have Gergensen and Okposo taking up spots next season. So if that's the case, we're going to set ourselves behind another year with these prospects. So getting a guy like Andrew Christal, I think, could work out for the Sabres. Again, a wild card pick, but it would be a guy where if you let him simmer in the AHL for a little bit, he could turn out to be a star.
Absolutely, and while I think a lot of fans would be taken aback by a pick like that, you mentioned it is a wild card. That strikes me a lot like Isak Rosén or maybe even a couple of other guys that we have playing in Sweden right now, where we don't see them for a couple years due to development. A lot of fans I know they really hate that when we have to wait on our first round picks, but sometimes it works out, and we've seen Kevin Adams time and time again. He always goes back to, I'm going to pick the best player available. He doesn't want to go based on needs. He wants to go on best player available. That's why we saw him pick Isak Rosén and Yuri Kulik last draft. It's because those were the top guys on the board. While we desperately needed defense, even last draft, Kevin Adams went that route. And in terms of that lens, I could totally see Adams going, well, this guy's a great skater. He's a great shooter, great playmaker. If he falls to our laps, how can we pass on him?
Absolutely. And, I know we keep talking about this is going to be our year. This is going to be our year. But it is finally the time when, you get to the trade deadline and, okay, we have to make a move. You're going to have to package some of these prospects together to end up getting, a top guy, right? The guy to maybe be that final piece to get you to a Stanley Cup team. So it's never a bad thing to have too many prospects, especially if some aren't seeing the ice in the NHL level. Package a few guys. It's not going to hurt your team at all because they're probably never going to see the ice for you
Yeah.
anyway. And maybe getting a guy like Christal to put in a package in the future would be a good idea. or to be a replacement for guys that you do put in the package.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, we've seen a couple of trades like that happen, obviously, over the last couple of trade deadlines, namely the Timo Meyer sweepstakes,
Mhm.
and a lot of fans believe it. And it sounds like kind of brass, the executive branch, also believes it for the Buffalo Sabres that it's playoffs or bust this year. Don Granato, he was the only one that kind of really seemed like, oh, well, maybe, maybe not. He's just trying to save face. We all know playoffs or bust. The Sabres were one win from making the playoffs this past season. They blew all previous expectations. If Kevin Adams wants to finally get aggressive, finally buck his trend of staying cautious, staying young, then you're going to have to package a couple guys like Rosea, Noah Ostland, maybe. Guys like that. And, of course, bringing in another speedy, young left winger. A lot of teams really want the Sabres prospects. So why not give it to
Yeah.
them for their top-end players?
Especially when the Atlantic Division all of a sudden looks like it could be blown wide open next season, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Toronto, it looks like, they're going to lose in the second round
we'll see.
after, yeah, after, finally breaking their drought. But Tampa Bay, they don't look all that great.
No.
Florida, all of a sudden, they could be a top team. Boston, huge disappointment there. What do they do after a phenomenal regular season? The division's up for the grabs, and I think the Sabres are right there. They're within striking distance, and I could see this team finishing, second in the Atlantic next season, but I could also see them finishing as, the last wild card. Playoffs have to happen though.
Absolutely. For us, me and you, Cal, we've never seen in our time as being Sabres fans, we've never seen our teams make the postseason. We finally saw in 2017 with the Bills. We're on the younger end of the Buffalo sports fans, so it's time. It's time for Kevin Adams to get bold here, and it starts right now, right here with the draft. And of course, folks, let us know your thoughts about who the Sabres could maybe draft or not draft in the chat down below. I was Don. This was Cal. This is Buffalo SportsCenter. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe. And we will see all of you, hopefully, in the next video. Peace out.